And we are recording. Hello everyone, Zeph Jones here, and we are back with another Creator Artist Talk interview. I'm here with the wonderful Jennifer Talley, and as usual, I always tend to want to tell your story as I've met you, but I realize that
Go ahead.
that takes up so much. Yeah, and maybe
I want to know what kind of impression I give.
Well, certainly when I first met you, I had a really pleasant impression. You were very helpful, very kind.
Oh, thank you.
When we put up everything in the gallery that we'll talk about, I had a wonderful back and forth with you, so that was good.
Yeah.
But definitely, I want to say thank you for participating in this. Thank you for being willing to share your story. And let's jump right in.
Okay.
So who is Jennifer Talley?
Oh, God, that's complex. I don't know. It feels weird to call myself an artist, but that's what I am now, and I'm trying to own that more because I did not grow up with any kind of formal art education. I did it all pretty much on my own, figuring it out. Did it until it looks right, and maybe watch some YouTube things here or there. And it was such a long process of being comfortable with my artwork to show it. I've been artistic my entire life. In second grade, I started taking piano lessons, and I did that for a long time up until high school graduation. And in fourth grade, I was actually at Talley Elementary, and I started violin. And I loved that. I stuck with piano and violin throughout my whole school until graduation. Eventually bumped up to the Montgomery Youth Symphony Orchestra. I did that for a number of years, and I am old enough where I was around when magnet schools started. So I was one of the first kids to graduate sixth grade at Carver Elementary.
Oh, wow.
And it was that year I took my first ballet class with Judy Crump. And I know everyone in the ballet world will know exactly who Judy is.
I was like, even I've heard of Judy Crump.
Yeah. So that kind of led me in a different direction. So of course, after that, I went to Baldwin, and I switched it up from piano and violin to violin and ballet and dance with Emily Caruso and Valerie Lagrone. I even danced here at ADT in the junior company. Went on to dance a little bit at Montgomery Ballet. So I've always been heavily in arts my whole life, pretty much. And I think that's kind of what influences my art style now, which is why it's so dark and moody. A lot of things that I painted early on was more like the female form and maybe ballet type dancers. And that just kind of evolved into what I'm doing now. I worked for a long time at the ballet companies here in town, Montgomery Ballet and Alabama River Region Ballet, from 2001 to 2008, and then I had babies, and then again from 2013 to 2020, and I was doing the marketing, photography. I photographed everything we did for ads and billboards and posters, and that to me was art, how I was able to express myself. But in 2020, when everything just went bananas, yeah. That's kind of when I decided to go more into my own art, and I started painting because I was at home a lot more. And by 2021, I entered my very first show ever. I was so nervous, but I did extremely well. It was the little downtown show in Wetumpka. It was outdoor with a tent. I did really well. And that's kind of the point where I was like, okay, I think I can do this. So I just kept going, and it took me probably a couple of years after that to really figure out what I wanted to do. I went through a period of not copying, but trying to emulate some of the other artists around here that had a specific style and that were selling really well and were really well respected. But it just wasn't who I was. I'm not a landscape painter. I'm not an impressionist painting. I'm not, I don't do it wasn't authentically me, and it took me a while to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do? And it's finally when I got just totally fed up with the whole process, and I kind of wanted to quit, and I did quit for a few months because it just became all about selling and what does everybody else want? What's going to do well at the next show? And I just had like a wake-up call, like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to paint whatever I want in my own house, and if I like it, maybe somebody else will too. And that's when it really clicked for me, and when I really started selling. It's when I just decided I didn't care anymore if I ever sold anything again. That's when I started selling things, and everybody started giving me good feedback on my artwork, and I just kept diving deeper into what is me, what do I want to do. I mean, to me, I don't really have a strong voice. I'm not making a statement. I don't have, you don't look at one of my paintings and think of anything political or social, or I just want it to be kind of like a dream almost. Like, I want it to evoke a feeling, and I want it to be good, and I want it to be something that you can't see in real life, and almost like a dream fairy tale storybook, because that's just what makes me happy. So I'm excited when someone else finds it even remotely interesting.
Yeah, no, that is a wonderful start to this interview, right? You've had a very expansive, like, creative upbringing, and then to find out, because I've always thought that you've done art all this time, to find out that that's a recent thing, and then to see the pieces like we have here in the gallery of the Mad Hatter and the rabbit in particular, like, that's crazy, because I couldn't imagine personally doing something that well in that short amount of time. But it also speaks to, like you said, you've always been a creative person, and then you're utilizing everything that you've experienced over these years to produce something like that. Yeah. And I just want to say kudos to you on that piece and some of the other ones that I had a chance to look at, because those are amazing. Yeah. So thank you. With all, and you're welcome. With all of those things in mind, what would you say are sort of the essentials to you cultivating your creative style?
You just have to do whatever makes you happy deep inside. Your artwork has to have soul. And whatever your soul is, it's got to come out on your canvas. You can't, you can only get by so long trying to paint to please everyone else. Or, I went through a little period where everybody was buying flowers, so I was painting flowers. But looking back, like, those paintings had no soul. It had none of me in it. It was just a pretty flower. And it's just letting your inside out, whatever that is, because everyone's voice is going to be different. Everyone's perspective is completely different. Nobody can paint that white rabbit the way I painted it, and they shouldn't, because that's like my fingerprint, and everyone else has their artistic fingerprint. And everybody, just look at this room. Like, everything is so different, but it's so special in very unique and different ways. Yeah. And that's what makes art exciting to me, is that everybody's voice is important here. And it doesn't matter if you just started or if you're experienced and you've been doing it your whole life. Your voice is still important, and nobody can paint like you. So, my advice to other artists is get out there and just do it. Like, it doesn't matter if you just started. Put your stuff out there. Get in a show, because your voice is just as important as anyone else's. So.
Yeah, so number one, totally agree, especially from the vantage point of me being a musician, right? Yeah. There is no, like, real, you've got the time to perfect everything. It's as soon as you start, like, that's it. Yeah. You get immediate feedback upon, your progression. Yeah. And so I think, like you said, just getting out there and doing it is the key part to every artist, no matter what it is. And that's honestly the key to life, right? Just getting out there and doing it and trying something new. So what do you think are some of the more risky kind of art pieces you've done, as in, like, it it pushed you to go beyond your means, not like risque.
Right. Oh, I've done those too.
Okay.
But in the South, those are like, oh no. Yeah. Honestly, this year, okay, so I started developing my own style. And with everyone, I'm in competition with myself. I think if I did good on that one, I've got to do better on the next one. You know, once you kind of put your blinders on and you stop looking at everybody else's work and you really focus on your own, you then become in competition with yourself. So I always feel a need to create something and then create something better and then create something better. I hope it's worked. But, you know, with, say, the Alice in Wonderland collection, it started with the White Rabbit. And that was a painting that I did. My son being down in Sarasota for gymnastics, I started looking down there for art shows. And at the Art Center of Sarasota, they had a trompe-l'oeil exhibition, and I thought that would be fun. So I created the White Rabbit to enter in that. Turned out I won honorable mention. Oh, wow. So it did well, but that was my first attempt at adding a 3D kind of element. And if you look at the White Rabbit, it's not really 3D. I have a little bit of the finger that's coming out that's holding the watch, and then the way I painted it, it looks like it's coming out of the frame, but it's actually not. So the next time I wanted to do the marsh hare because I love animals, and I love animals that are dressed up in clothing because I don't know, I love painting fabric and I love painting animals, so I combine them, and that's kind of where this whole series started. So my next one was the marsh hare, and he's the one that's holding the teacup. And I felt the need to push it even further. How can I make this more? And that's when I started using, you know, more modeling paste and the clay and everything and the resin to make the tea in the teacup. That's when I made him I made him actually 3D. Yeah. And, you know, I made his face come up and his ears come out. And that one did really well. So after I did that one, the Cheshire Cat. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to push it more? Because I don't know, I'm just never satisfied with
I would say that's
doing the same thing.
The progression of more depth, more interest in what you're doing.
So, you know, I made him some actual 3D elements. I made him, you know, painted him to come out of the frame, but then that's when I incorporated the phosphorescent paint that can be, you know, viewed under black light, but when it's charged with black light, it also glows in the dark. You know, he's holding the bottle of potion that also glows in the dark, and on top of the 3D. So it was just like I had to keep pushing and adding. So I don't know, now I'm kind of getting some pieces done that, you know, I want to, honestly, my goal is to work towards a solo show next year. And I have this idea, like a theme that I want to do called, and I'm not sure yet, it's all still
being
percolating.
Yeah.
But I want just a show that's like Reign of the Beast or Salon of the Beast or something. And I would want it to be all of my collection of characters in my head. Like one that I just did. I did the painting of Queen Victoria as a chicken. I just did another one that was a wild turkey dressed up as an aristocrat. You know, just animals like that. I don't know why. I just think it's funny, and I love art that makes you laugh. I love happy art, you know, pretty art, but art that makes you laugh is just really something that I would hang in my own home. So I don't know, if it's a little absurd, I'm probably gonna love it. But
I mean, that's certainly the unique perspective of your art and how you view things, and then being able to share that again, like you said, the art that makes you laugh, the parody form of these different things. And oftentimes I feel like we view art as something so serious
Yes.
that we miss so many of the other components, but getting a chance to look at it and laugh will help you dive into that piece a little bit more.
You know, I know all art, of course, has its place. Art that, you know, speaks to a certain purpose or, you know, has a certain meaning, it's all got its place. I can appreciate that art. I just am drawn to things that are funny or quirky or, you know, where the artist's personality really came out. You know, I just, that's my favorite. I don't know.
So I want to ask you, before we run too far on time, how do you balance the actual aspect of creating something new and failure, in a sense, right? Because not everything that you do is going to work, right?
You don't. Sometimes you just have to do it and say, well, that sucks, but move on. Because you don't ever know. I mean, and then when you try new things, sometimes that's when your best work comes out of it. So it's worth the risk to have some that are just so-so. You know, if you don't like them, paint over it. I've done that. I have some old stuff that I'm painting over now just to use up the canvas because it was something I tried, it didn't work out, and that's okay. It's just part of the process. And as an artist, you know, we're all moody and we all have that creative energy, and it's really hard to get out of your head sometimes. I get in my head a lot, and I have terrible anxiety, awful anxiety, and sometimes my anxiety is so bad I can't even create art because I'm just trying to deal with the anxiety. But in those pauses where I have to just stop for a while and stop creating because I just can't do it anymore, that's usually when my best work comes about, and I don't know why. If I have an anxiety attack or something and I quit, I just don't do it, and then when I go to pick it back up, almost always my best piece of art comes out of that.
It's the reset.
It's the reset. It really is.
Wow.
But I don't know, it's a process. I'm sure every artist that watches this knows exactly what I'm talking about. But you know, it's just something, and I guess with anxiety, you just, a lot of times I use painting to deal with it because you can't really always medicate yourself out of it. I mean, you could. I've tried that, and it just, you know, I wasn't myself. I couldn't even create. So I've just learned to deal with it and to use art as my coping mechanism to get myself out of the panic or whatever I'm going through. I mean, there's so much in life to have anxiety about right now, but it calms me to paint, and I don't know where I'd be if I didn't actually have art to help me through those bad times, you know?
I'm definitely an advocate for that. Partially, my background is in psychology, and so I've spent a lot of time in what I was learning in regards to creativity and how it works for us in that space. And so shout out to all the mental health professionals that utilize art. Shout out to all the artists that are talking about, you know, their experiences with mental health battles or anything, you know, and how they use that art to combat that. Because like you said, medication only does so much.
Art is therapy.
And art is therapy.
Even if you just appreciate art, or, you know, you just love art, but looking at art is therapy. But doing art, that really, and, you know, any kind of art, it doesn't matter what it is, what you're into, sculpture, fiber arts, painting, photography, is so therapeutic because it helps get those inner thoughts out in a positive way. So
yeah, no, you said it all. My last question for you was going to be, well, I guess my last two questions. Is there anything that you want to leave the community with, right, in regards to being an artist or looking forward to an opportunity? And then, of course, your socials where we can find you, or anything else that you're engaged in.
Well, I am very happy to say that I'm the first vice president of the Montgomery Art Guild now. Ooh. And it is one of my goals in this position is to really make the Art Guild welcoming to everybody, beginners, advanced, all cultures, all backgrounds. We want everybody to be involved in art because it is such a good, positive thing, a way to bring the community together. So that's kind of my goal. I just want to make people feel seen and heard. The artists that maybe are, are questioning like if it's time to get out, or oh, nobody's going to like my art, or nobody's going to accept it, or I'm not good enough yet. You are, and I really want to use my position here as a way to just reach out to everybody and bring them in, and really let everybody be seen. And that's kind of the point of this show, the Salon de Refusé, is a lot of these pieces were rejected, and that was really important to me, to make those artists feel seen and that their art was still important even though it was rejected from a show. So that, I'm working on that with the social media and everything. On my own social media, that's where I guess you'll see anything and everything. Well, not anything and everything, but all of my art is there. I've been doing photography since the late 90s. So, I don't really go out and do shoots or anything like that. Just whatever I can capture on my iPhone is really what gets posted. But all of my animals, I love all of my animals. I live, just a few minutes on over on Old Selma Road in West Montgomery, and we have a little farm, and I have all of my rescue horses and our donkeys and chickens, and have a little rescue squirrel that I've been taking care of. My dogs, of course. That's my life. My kids, they're all teenagers now, so I don't photograph them as much because, I'm not cool. But so on my social, you'll see pretty much what makes me happy, and that's my art and my animals, and just funny, happy stuff.
And then what are the links for those, or the names for those socials, so that we can have that?
Well, on Facebook, I'm just Jennifer Talley, but on Instagram, I'm the Unmodern Artist. I have one that's more personal, where you see all the animals and stuff, and I have one that's just kind of for art, but I hardly post there. But it's the Unmodern Artist. I'm on TikTok too. I have Snapchat, but I don't really know how to use it, so.
Trust me, neither do I. And we'll make sure to also tag the Montgomery Art Guild and put their website link in there, so that everybody can go check out what's there, whatever resources are available.
Yeah.
I know they have shows that they're always doing. Actually, they got a show that they're.
Yeah, actually, the 59th annual Regions Bank Show submissions just opened for that. So everybody needs to submit.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that all of that is here on the video.
Yeah.
And again, I just want to say thank you for the time. Thank you for sharing this. And
thank you so much,
as always, we love y'all. Peace.
Thank you.